Quick introduction. My name's James. I look after partnerships for Klaviyo here in EMEA. Hands up, who knows Klaviyo? Big fans over there. Look at you guys. Who uses Klaviyo? Who wants to use Klaviyo? There we go. With your hand up, the salesperson might see you. Okay, cool. I'm going to introduce Tim from the Bottle Club, and I'm going to let him tell you about his business, not me tell you like my notes tell me to do. So Tim, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim. I run a business called the Bottle Club, which is a multi-brand alcohol retailer. We have about 7,500 different beers, wines and spirits products online, which is obviously quite a lot of fun to run, but a lot of data to manage. So big user of Klaviyo, big tech stack, big data guy. Is that good enough?
That's great. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit about how Tim uses data to power personalization for the Bottle Club. So let's jump into it, Tim. Why don't you tell us a bit more about the Bottle Club, your positioning, your value prop to customers? Start there.
So basically, as you can imagine, alcohol is very kind of pretentious, quite difficult to get into. And you get into the wine world, it's surrounded by people that know more than you do, and it's quite obnoxious and annoying. And we did not want to be that business. So when I joined 6 years ago, it was pretty much placed exactly like that. And I came in and said, this is not what the market needs. What the market needs is an approachable side to alcohol. So we rebranded the business, and in doing so, our ethos became to basically become the ASOS of alcohol, the approachable side of drinks. And with our main competitors, they are not talking about the things that people care about. They're not highlighting. They're very like an old men's club, really. So we wanted to make sure that we were the voice of it, talking about women in the industry, black-owned businesses, LGBT rights within the business. We want to have that voice that everybody wants to listen to and be approachable, and also share some of the amazing stories of the people and the brands that you already know. That's where we want to position ourselves. And then we don't really have, there's only two other competitors that really do beers, wines and spirits online. So, and again, one's more around cost, and then one's more about storytelling. So,
awesome. Great overview. Thanks, Tim. Then on to kind of how you start to use, product attributes, because getting personalization right starts with data, as you mentioned. And in terms of products, we think about taxonomy of products, tagging of products, unique attributes of products, and then matching those to customers and preferences and aligning their preferences to that product taxonomy. So can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you do there with your products and how you make marketing messages resonate?
So when I joined, we used to just sell whiskey or gin or beer. And the thing is, when you really understand the products you're trying to purchase, you know there's actually quite a lot of depth to it. So we didn't want to be just top level. So we went and built this really in-depth taxonomy where we have 4 tiers worth of depth. So then you've got beers, wine, spirits, and in spirits is whiskey. Inside of whiskey is Scotch, Irish, American. Inside of Scotch is all of the different kind of areas. So we've done that for every single category. And that's stored. Shopify is one of the best platforms to do this in, by the way. We store that as tags and meta fields, and then that enables us to start building more in-depth collections, going down into deeper sub-collections and link building and fake breadcrumbing throughout the site. But it also means when you get into like email personalization and marketing, you can be very specific about what people like. So as we need to be the experts within our industry, if you bought Jameson's, for example, you don't want to then be recommending something like Jack Daniels because they're two very different products. So having that level of detail that's stored against those products is key to be showcasing and presenting the correct products to your customers. But it also means that you can get down to the nitty gritty. So we're also storing things like, is it screw cap? Is it corked? What country is it from? What region is it from? It's all stored on this product level. And one of the coolest things with Shopify is that you sell the product ID more than anything else. So you can start enriching products in the future to uncover data from the past. So we can go look back and say, before we sold wine, we've now added cork and screw cap. We can go back to our first ever wine sale and see, we were actually selling more cork in this year, and now we've start seeing trends in things that you didn't necessarily know that were there. And then that can, as I say, be brought back into marketing for the correct products.
Awesome. We'll come on to some of the ways you use that a bit later on, I think. But one of the things that I think always really important for people in these kind of sessions is to understand the mistakes and challenges and things that you've had to work through. You talked about some of them already, but you've been at the Both Club for a while, so you've seen the evolution, worked through the evolution of the way you think about data, the tools you use, and how then you effectively market to customers. Maybe you can share like the top 1, 2, 3 things that you've messed up along the way or uncovered that you were doing wrong, or challenges that you faced.
Yeah, so one thing, whenever everyone gets into Klaviyo, they get really excited about the personalization opportunities and all the flows that you can build. But a lot of it comes from potentially incorrect hypotheses of why people are purchasing. So we used to think that anybody that had bought whiskey previously was a whiskey customer. So we want to be marketing whiskey. And it just was not resonating in some of the flows that we were doing. The campaigns weren't performing like we thought we were within the segments. And we just really couldn't understand why. And so we started to reach out to customers. We'll come on to how we got into the data, but we started to see that a large percentage of all of our customers were gifting customers, not self-consuming customers. So their repeat purchase rate when they're doing things is completely different. And just because they bought whiskey for their dad for Father's Day, they're not going to necessarily want to buy whiskey in 2 months' time. For another occasion, it might be Mother's Day. So they're going to be buying rosés or gins, or you're going into Christmas and getting into cognacs or just any other like value-added purchase packs. So our mistake was that we were guessing why they were purchasing and assuming because of what they purchased that's what they're interested in. But that's not necessarily true in any business. They're not, just because they bought that product is not necessarily for themselves, doesn't mean that it's necessarily right for them. So yeah, just guessing the intent.
Yeah. Guesswork, never good, especially when you've got so many tools at your disposal. And it's one of the advantages of trading online is you don't have to guess. You can ask questions. You've got sentiment analysis that you can gather. And I guess one of the tactics that you talked to me about earlier in the week was how you use Shopify blocks in the checkout to start matching those what you thought were kind of random purchases to act and understanding why they were purchasing, who they were purchasing for. Can you talk a bit about that Shopify blocks work that you did?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys keep up with the Shopify editions releases like I do, like a massive nerd. But every time that they come out, there's always something really exciting that's potentially in there. And about 2 editions ago, Shopify acquired an app business called Checkout Blocks. It's all for everybody who's on Shopify Plus has access to Checkout Blocks. And it basically was there that you could customize your checkout to do multiple things. But everybody that goes through your checkout is going through that process. So historically, as I said, when we were trying to find out if people were gifters or if they were self-consumers, etc., we would use like a post-purchase survey, but they've only got a 20% completion rate. We'd try and do app pop-ups, but then you've got to give away a discount for gathering that information or try and give some value-added opportunity. But what we were able to do with Checkout Blocks is add one mandatory question at checkout, and we obviously were concerned about conversion rate, but we didn't see a change because it's only one single question. But at checkout, we ask, is this for yourself? Is it a gift? Are you hosting? Is it for trade or is it for other? And that is 100% completion rate on every single purchase that happens, and you can then attribute that to the sales. But again, what's amazing about Shopify is because you're storing the product data, you can actually break that down by, of Jack Daniels, turns out that 80% of all of our Jack Daniels sales are for gifts, only 20% are self-consuming, and you can get that down to the nitty-gritty. That was a requirement for us. And I think where it gets super interesting, if you're in, say, a skincare brand, for example, and you have something that's perfect for acne, if you start asking what's the reasoning for your purchase, what's your skin type, skin ailment, etc., you can proactively reach out in customer service and say, this was the incorrect product for you. So depending on your business's requirements, you can unlock so much more from that order because you've got 100% completion.
And what are some of the things that you've done with that data in terms of marketing automation? And then like a second follow-up question is, how do you measure the sort of efficacy of that block? Like what's your KPI against adding that block? It's got 100% completion. What did it unlock? And then was there like some Klaviyo revenue attributed to that unlock, for example?
Yeah, for sure. So what it's done for us primarily is when we get into the data of that breakdown, you start to understand that the repeat purchase rate of some of your customers is completely different. So if you're a gifting customer, your repeat purchase rate is not going to be monthly or 60 days, etc., because it's only a most key trading period. So them getting regular campaign emails that don't resonate because they're not in any point in their sales funnel, they should either be excluded or not be marketed in the same way. Whereas if you've got your self-consuming customer, you can start building flows based on the things that they did purchase. And say if it's, beer or wine, you can do a repeat purchase. Say your repeat purchase rate 15 to 30 days. So wait 15 to 30 days saying, hope you enjoyed this product. Have you seen our range of X? And then in things that, would last for longer. So whiskey, cognac, which you probably have 60 to 180 days, a slower process. And you can really understand repeat purchase rate and self-consumption. And in the gifting side, put them into different segments and say they gift at this time of the year, wait 11 months and say, oh, last year you bought this for somebody's birthday. Like, do you want to buy again, or what are you going to buy instead? And it just gives you a lot better level of personalization rather than just expecting to know everything.
I wonder whether you could do like edit your subscription for whiskey. Like you get the person who's resubscribing every 2 weeks versus the person who's resubscribing every 180 days. Maybe that's not a very positive thing to do about. Anyway, I guess beyond that web experience, what other kind of tactics do you use to convert customers above and beyond like the typical kind of abandoned cart flows, browse abandonment flows? What kinds of flows and personalization mechanics are you using today?
So because we've got that level of data and we work with suppliers of ours, like we're working really closely with an Irish whiskey brand called Limavady at the moment, and they're in a massive growth stage, not very well known in the UK. They want to say, how do we get in front of these more customers so we can start building really specific flows to say, did you like only Irish whiskey customers, only specific brand purchases historically? When wait 30 days, but promote those products, which gets really technical. And obviously with Klaviyo's recent updates with what they're going to be doing with campaigns, which is for us most exciting. Like maybe some of you are on SMS. Hands up if you're on SMS. A few of you. Well, as we go into the Klaviyo campaigns stuff, we're going to be able to be doing multiple touch points within a campaign rather than separate campaigns themselves. So we've got a mobile app with TapCart, we have SMS, and we also do email. But you'll start realizing which is the preferred communication method for marketing. So then building out that smarter flows, and again, based on purchases, based on timing. I think timing is one of the things that we do really well, is actually understanding when somebody's going to come back into it based on what they purchased. But we only get to do that with the data that we've gathered.
I think that's one of the things that I was impressed by with the Shopify blocks work, and you see it actually a lot with like WhatsApp marketing. I don't know if anyone's had that where you kind of get, I know you're not allowed to do it for alcohol, but when you get a WhatsApp marketing opt-in, it can ask you like a series of questions very quickly, like what age are you? I did like this juice cleanse one. It's like, what kind of juice cleanse do you want? 5 days, 7 days? Have you done one before? Yes or no? How did you find it? Score 1 to 5. And suddenly within like 30 seconds of me opting in with my mobile number, I've given away 7 or 8 data points. But I still think that there's such a big opportunity for brands to gather more data. I mean, you're doing it a bit, but like, are there any other ways that you think that you or other brands could be more sort of exploratory in capturing data from customers?
I think for me, genuinely, it's enriching the products that they're selling to try and work out, what there's going to be deeper subcategories into taxonomy than you necessarily have probably put them into. And there's an amazing stat that we've been talking about recently. There's a 1.6 times conversion increase if you go down to sub-collection from a top level category. So if you actually start taking people down those journeys, it's really impactful. So again, gathering that data and then looking back at the sales performance of those more accurate, more deeper products is what.
So an example for you would be beers, German beers, wheat beers.
Exactly. Yeah. So just having that understanding is going to give you, and then you can start to see, trends throughout the year. When did we sell the most German beers, and start going through. There's an amazing app which I'm not sponsored to talk about, but it's one of the best Shopify apps on the market, Better Reports, and it enables you to just bring in so many different queries and see them in timelines and data sets and matrices and things. So we use that on a daily basis to kind of uncover things, so we can start seeing like seasonality or monthly trends within different categories. Seeing there's a huge increase in like light or white rum in June, and then it just completely peters out for the rest of the year, and you start to unlock those trends when that data is sitting there. There's a lot you can do with it. But your original question was?
My original question was, what kind of ways do you think brands could be more, I guess, braver, take a braver approach to capturing data. You mentioned the skincare thing. So a lot of the time you'll see like category nav for like, I'm looking for blemishes or acne or whatever on the skincare example. But actually, can you just go and ask that when they come to the website, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously everybody's got some kind of sign up pop up to get, give away something to try and get a conversion. But the thing is, that's also a perfect opportunity to get more data. So by getting them to, rather than just doing spin to win and just here's 5% because you've landed on it, if you say fill in this 1 or 2 question pop up, then you've gained some insight on that email address, you've gathered the email address, and they've got a discount. So you've already got some more information. And maybe they don't purchase immediately, but then they've gone into a sales funnel. Say it's, what's your skin ailment? I've got acne. They've got gone into your acne segment. You can actually start proactively marketing the things that they may not know that you sold because they've come to a different product. So I think we don't in e-commerce do a good enough job of actually getting to know our customers, and that kind of brings us on to Shopify CRM and Klaviyo CRM.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's going to be like mega impactful for really understanding your customers. And if you watch the launch of it, AB from Klaviyo made like a really good analogy about how he goes to his hardware store every year to build like an ice rink. Not that any of us know what that's like, but he builds his ice rink and he's got a relationship with the hardware supplier and they're talking about what you want. And then when the days where he goes in and that guy isn't in, there's no connection to that store anymore. They don't know why he's in there. They're just like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And we're in the perfect position in e-commerce to be able to have that information at the ready in customer service, on site. And we're just delivering, gathering as much data as possible against those users about what they're like, why they're buying it. I mean, and we're not the best at it so we sell a crazy amount of alcohol miniatures. I do not know why or where they're going or what people are doing with them. And that's my next task, is to try and work out what are they doing with Jägermeister 2CL, because I don't know. But again, if we can start understanding why they're purchasing those products, we can start proactively giving them recipes, creative ideas, use cases, etc. So just gather as much information as you can about the customer and the products. And then you'll start to really unlock better, just not personalization, but just data to use and leverage.
And like you say, being able to use that on the support side, I think, like a unified inbox, I think is going to be really powerful. I know we're using the skincare example a lot when we're talking about alcohol, but I do think it's really relevant when a customer's coming to you. What should I buy? Well, you talked about these skincare issues, and actually other customers who talked to us about those bought these and gave us good reviews on those products. Suddenly you can have a support person who's been in the job 3 days, but's got all the data in front of them to be able to respond really well to a customer. I think that's ultimately like great customer engagement. So yeah, big opportunity there. I guess one like maybe forward-looking question slash any statements from you, like emerging technologies. Obviously, you talked a bit about ECRM. We were talking about AI just over there. Where do you see, like in 2025, 2026, the biggest leaps forward in kind of commerce and driving revenue through data?
I think it's like immediate commerce, right? Everybody's like looking at what they can be doing in TikTok Shop, what they can be doing in there. But I think there's some even more emerging technologies, and there's some really interesting stuff coming up for like people bringing brands into like Roblox, which is a few years away from genuine commerce, but that's probably what the future of commerce is going to look like. So we're just watching out for trends like that. Obviously bringing AI in, but we talked about AI earlier. I think if you're going to be looking at AI, one of everybody that talks to me will know I have the same answer, that it really lacks context. So as we talked about with the data that we've enriched our products with, unless the AI really understands that structure and understands what it is, AI is pointless. It can just be recommending incorrectly on anything and giving the wrong sentiment. But I think as the tools get more impressive and people understand it better, just helping it learn by giving it context is the future of like AI and tech.
Awesome. Well, I think apparently that's all we've got time for today. Great timing. Thanks, Tim. I don't know if anyone's got any. Hold on. Don't get rid of us that quickly. I don't know if anyone's got a question for Tim before we go. Yeah, there we go.
Better reports. Very, very good. It's not very pretty, but it works incredibly well.
Any others? There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go onto a lot of websites, they'll have like a very like top level navigation, and they don't go into very like much depth. So for us, for example, if you use whiskey, someone that knows nothing about whiskey and they're buying for their granddad will click on whiskey, and they'll just go through the first couple of pages and find something that resonates, right? But if you actually have a real intent of the products that you have a bit more understanding, and I think you need to build your site from someone that's got no idea what they're doing when they get there, and someone that has every bit of idea when they get there, and build that journey. So we've got a real like 4 different tiers of whiskey to super in-depth levels, and then we've got a crazy number of filters. But the stat is that if you build like a sublinks within those collection pages at the top that go, you're on whiskey, but let's give them a quick one-click link to go to Irish whiskey, that one click is already driven a higher level of intent. So they're more likely to purchase because they've got a better understanding and they're closer to the product they were looking for or finding than they would have been previously.
Awesome. Great questions. Thanks so much again, Tim. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to talk to Tim or Klaviyo upstairs, just come find us. You can take us away now. Go on. There you go.